It is now 6:28. I'm going to start with announcements. The Borough will be collecting canned goods to benefit Westchester Food Cupboard at Borough Hall during business hours. Stop by to contribute. More information can be found on the Borough website. Are there any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents, taxpayers, and visitors in attendance regarding items that are not on the agenda? Please be advised there is a 5-minute time limit, which is at the discretion of me. Seeing none, we can move on to reports. We're going to start with the garage management report.
Good evening, Chris Hankins, Colonial Parking. So I will quickly run through the parking garage performance report. In October, total revenues were $249,000 against operating expenses of $50,540, leaving a net operating income of $198,791. I'm sorry, year to date, there's $2,257,381 in total revenue, $523,094 in operating expenses, leaving a net operating income of $1,734,287. That is ahead of budget on the net operating income and ahead of the same month the prior year. The number of contract parkers billed in October was 295 for the Bicentennial Garage and 710 for Chestnut Street, combining to make 1,005. A couple short of September and short again of October on the contract parkers billed. The average transient revenue per day combined for the garages was $4,296. That's ahead of September and well ahead of October of 24. The average tickets per day combined was 996 compared to 983 in September and 951 same month prior year. Any questions about those numbers?
I have a quick one. Any thoughts on why daily transient revenue would be 20% higher year over year when there's only 5% more tickets year over year?
So
longer stays, maybe?
Maybe a little bit of that. Some of it's a little difficult to kind of understand because we don't have the history of the year prior. But one thing to consider is that we have less monthly parkers. So I don't know if going back to the prior year, there were more monthlies in the garage and that prevented some transient parkers from parking and driving the revenue. Obviously, transient parkers will generate more revenue per space than a monthly parker. So I took a look at the average ticket value for October, which was $4.31. That is up from what it typically is, which is in the $3.70 range for the average ticket value. And there were a couple of special events in October, which caused that average ticket value to be higher than it would typically be. And taking a look at those events, we had the Halloween parade. There were 185 folks who came in and parked at the garages this year for the Halloween parade. That's well or significantly less than the prior year where there were 521 folks that came in and parked for the Halloween parade. There's a couple of different things going on there. We're charging $20 versus $10 this year. And then just scheduling wise, last year it was on a Wednesday. This year it was on a Sunday afternoon. So I think that could contribute to the lack of cars parking for that particular event. The second event was the chili cook-off. And we parked 365 cars for the chili cook-off. Again, that's down significantly from the prior year where 698 cars were parked. Here again, there's some other factors that came into play. There was a rain. It got pushed back a week because of the rain date. which may have impacted the attendance to the event. Any questions? Thank you.
Darrell Cook, South Lawn Street. Are there plans to get the elevator fixed? Thank you.
He asked if there were plans to get an elevator fixed. The answer is yes. Okay. Can we move on to the director's report?
Hello. I'm gonna try not to breathe on this microphone. Let's see. First, let's say thank you to Bernie Varday, Don Powers, Jim Baker, John O'Brien for putting together a very nice reception, and the Zukin family. The Zukin Way sign has now been installed, so our first ceremonial street sign with our policy has been completed. So thank you, Bernie, for keeping that moving. Monica and I are working on the Park Mobile rollout. That'll take a little bit of time. We've got to get the contracts over. We've got to do a lot of programming. And we are trying to consider from a data perspective, we don't want to throw another wrench into everything, but right now everything in town is zone 2. Everything on campus is zone 1. But that also leaves, it gives a little bit of a hole because we don't have clear parking data on what streets or blocks are more heavily used because you can move within the zone. So that's something we're considering changing, which I know people won't love. But I do think it's important to understand the usage. There is a purchase order on the finance agenda. We had one last month, but we decided we wanted to add 3 more kiosks. So I think the total now is 8 that we're going to install in town to add to the existing. The bicentennial ceiling project is complete, excuse me. The EV charging station, Will has been doing an excellent job on managing that project. I think it was slated to be installed tomorrow. It should be installed sometime between now and our next meeting in the Chestnut Street garage. And it will be within the gated area at the top of this first level between the first and second. We are working with Premier Vertical Solutions on an elevator assessment for both garages to help with capital planning. This is phase 1 of capital planning assessment that we'll be doing with Pannoni on both garages. So they're going to help us with that. And then also Will is helping. He's written an RFP for elevator maintenance services. So we will be posting that shortly. We're also working on the Chapter 104 update with the solicitor. The loading zone audit is now taking. You will see pink signs on all of the loading zones in town. Actually, if you see one that's missing a sign, let us know because we're trying to clarify what signs exist in reality, what signs are only in the ordinance, and then what the usage parameters are. So if anybody calls you and is concerned that we're taking it away, right now we just want to know how they're being used, who's using them, is the right amount of time on them, is there an amount of time on them? So we're looking into that as we update Chapter 104. And then bike lockers have been installed in Chestnut Street lot. We do need to consider the pricing structure once they're activated. Tim Phelps from TMAC is helping us with that. He also helped us secure the grant to update them or upgrade the doors electronically. And we want to consider, do we want to give a 6-month grace period where they're just free for use so that people can get used to them and get some buzz around them. And I think we're also going to look at opportunities to wrap them. So maybe with a sponsorship. You look like you want to say something. Do you have a question?
Wondering how we're measuring usage. Like, how do we track it now if it's free?
Of what?
Is it the bike lockers?
Right now, I don't think they're in use.
Yeah.
We did do I think we did a year free and people did use them. I think we had, I would say 50% of them were full. But I think that there is an opportunity now, especially with them being in the growers market lot for sure, because I think on Saturdays that would be a good place to park and walk into town. Yeah. That's So we'll try and get that going soon. Any questions on that?
The loading zone,
Mhm.
to that point, how are we monitoring them? Because it seems to me that DoorDash and Uber Eats and deliveries.
Yeah.
Don't use them. It seems to me the people that own the businesses probably use it to unload their stuff and then take it into their stores. But it's the double parking, the slalom race down Gay Street is getting worse. How do they buy that many Priuses? It's the most amazing thing. Honda and Prius.
I don't know if there's
They
that
seem to
many.
be
It
the
feels like
delivery
there's like
cars.
2 of the same people.
Yeah.
I think right now we want to understand the businesses, like how they want them to be used and what they think they're supposed to be used for. And then there's also, our officers do chalk them. I think it's 20 minutes that we usually chalk them unless it's designated as something else, like a passenger loading, unloading. I think we're tightening up on that. If there's a car sitting there with its hazards on and there's no person in sight, they're likely to get a ticket if it says passenger loading, unloading. But I think once we get some of the recon in, we'll understand what needs to be there, maybe some modifications to that. And then I think John O'Brien and I think we met about this. I think one of the options that I think I'm leaning towards and I think would make the most sense eventually when we do the chapter 104 is that we look at, especially Gay Street, because there's businesses that don't have alleys. If we could just designate one side of the street, I know you've talked about that, one side of the street, maybe during specific hours as that you have to load and unload from this side, and do we alternate it each day? Something like that, because the Frogger of it all is impossible. Yeah. But I don't have a good answer. Right now we're doing recon to see what people think. Finances for October, ticket revenue was at 148,845. Posting revenue dipped a little bit, 3,659.50. And I just want to say about the postings, we have moved our posting system into the SmartGov portal so that we can work with Public Works and Building and Housing to confirm whether there's a parent permit or a child permit, because when I drive into work, sometimes I start screaming at my mom as I talk to her because I notice a whole block posted with signs that are not ours. And we're really trying to monitor who's doing what, how it's being done, the amount of time that it's being posted for residents. I've seen our officers have gone out and taken signs down because I've noticed that blocks are posted for, it seems like they're just going to leave them up in perpetuity. So we're really trying to coordinate between multiple departments so that we have clarity. Also, do they have a plumbing permit if they're running laterals? Do they have a sidewalk permit? We really want to work together, and everybody internally has been really receptive to that. So I think that'll bring a lot of change. But please call us too if you see them, because the officers are questioning equipment being stored and things being posted without our signs. But if you see something, say something also. Because I've noticed an uptick in that. Meter revenue was listed at $204,220. Permit revenue was at $4,611. So the total for the month of October, we have listed at $361,315.70. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
I do want to go back to the loading zone.
Yeah.
Because I love to talk about loading zones. I completely love the idea of one side on Gay Street. All the other loading zone, I use a loading zone on Church Street at least once a week, and it's for dropping and picking up kids. And it's confusing. I've had, parking people knock on my window and tell me that I can't park there or I have to have my hazards on, but I'm in a loading zone, and it's just,
Yeah.
it's confusing. And I think that those spaces, it's available though. it's always there.
Mhm.
I've never had an issue. So, like it's there, it's available. Maybe it's because people are knocking on their windows. Nobody's ever really made me move. It's confusing for everyone what the rules are
Yeah.
and how these things should be used. And we need to clarify that and get that all.
I agree. I
Consistent.
ideally, I think also my personal opinion is that we should stop letting businesses own loading zones and we should come up with a more uniform approach. Maybe there's a loading zone in the middle of each block between the hours that the majority of the businesses are open and available with a time limit. Also, same with handicap parking, like there should be one on every block at least. So maybe there's a way that we can do that in uniformity so that nobody can claim any of these either.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else? Any public comment? Any questions? Okay, we can move on to old business. Oh, no, are you done?
I'm done.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, move on to old business. Motion to approve the October 2025 Parking Committee meeting minutes. We are good. Okay, that's approved. New business, a motion to approve budget wayfinding phase 2 sign types 2026 capital project. Choose between 3 design types.
So I think I might have misnomered this, it might not be the appropriate way to say this. Sean and Barb are much better at budget discussions than I, but there is money that I would like to use next year as a capital project based on money that we did not use this year that we would like to carry over for phase 2 of the wayfinding signs. I have a proposal from Merge that has already been approved internally for them to help us. So the decision tonight really, recommendation is there are 3 options of signs to replace these entranceway signs. So there are 3 options. So wanted to hear which one you guys would prefer. So these are the existing wayfinding signs with our new ones with the template of colors, palette of colors at the bottom. Okay. And then this is option 1, which is based on our borough flag. And that is the front and the back, which I like. So this is option 1. Good. And this is what maybe it's a very big picture. There is a picture in there of the, wait, you see if you can.
Yeah.
scroll over.
You have to
Yeah.
reduce it a little bit. I had to do that on my computer too when I was looking at the attachments.
Really, there we go. So that's what it would look like. So that's option 1. Thank you for all the scrolling. Sorry. So this is option number 2, which has the number 1799 at the top. I'm not sure if you go up or down, but can you show the front and the back of this one? No, other way. Sorry. Okay, so that's option 1, front and back. You can see in the top left corner. Okay, now go down to the next page. No, stop minimizing. Okay, next page, please. Sorry. Next
I
page.
can make this easy. Option 1.
Yes, option 2 has the 1799. I think it's a little confusing. It looks like an address and it's also backwards when you're leaving. And yeah, and then option 3, thank you, Bill, you're almost done, I swear. Keep going. Keep going. This is option 3, which is based on the downtown Westchester. It's a little fancier with the black. I feel like we will lose this piece anytime there's a holiday in town. It is very nice though. So that's option 3. So,
Option 1.
Option 1.
okay.
Could have saved you a lot of time.
I just gotta make sure everyone knows.
Not Waynesburg.
Okay. Okay, so recommendation is option 1.
Yes, and
Okay.
please, you see our signs, our existing signs?
Yes.
I could take graffiti off of that with no trouble at all. All right?
Mhm.
They have to be, It's not that they have to be graffiti resistant because they get marked up a lot.
Right.
They have to be at least a,
Coating, like
don't get
a-
old. An alkyd or an oil-based paint or a lacquer, so I can take the graffiti off. Because if it's.
That's your paint recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it's not, when the letters will start disappearing, the T and the E, because the citrus remover will take off regular latex paint. So it has to be,
Say the word again?
either lacquer finish
Okay.
or enamel, an alkyd. ALKYD. Because if it's not,
Got it.
me in Public Works, we'll be missing half the signs. That's why a lot of the signs are faded, because we take the graffiti off.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we all came to a consensus. Thank you very much for that. And for picking the right one.
Okay, is there any other business? Seeing none,
Excuse me,
yes.
did you call for public comment
No.
on the?
Any public comment on the sign? Oh, on any other public comment? Come, talk. We'd love to hear you. Whatever you want to talk about.
Hello, Laurie Waddy, 301 West Bernard Street, but I'm here on behalf of Uptown Performing Arts Center as a board member, and we would simply like Uptown to be considered in the wayfinding, I guess, phase 2 or the project itself. As a private citizen, I would comment on what was just presented, and I personally like the existing signs, and I'm not sure why we would spend the money on new signs, but that is as a private citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually was looking at the sign that we put up for Uptown, I don't know, 2 years ago, but it's in that old style. And I want everything changed over to the new style. So it's a cohesive effort, branding for our borough. And so that is why we are changing the entrance sign to more cohesively brand with the parking signs that we just recently put up. Uh-huh.
I would also say, I know John O'Brien and I have spoken about this before. I do think before we include anything that is not like just plain borough, we need to internally come up with a policy that's approved, because we want to be mindful of business, like private businesses and, things like that. So I don't think we have.
Are we still going to do the directional signs? Maybe I just didn't notice them, like where the courthouse is, or where Uptown Theater is, or where the hospital is, or the university.
That's not included in this right now. This is strictly the entry
Okay.
points.
right.
And that, that's something I think
That's the
Merge has-
notifications, yeah.
Merge has some discussion points on that, and I don't want to speak for them, but the other assumption is we do have a lot of sign clutter in town, and a lot of people are not, parking, I think, is a little bit different, saying hello when you come in, but then a lot of people are really just looking at their phones on where to go, and so we want to be mindful of like what needs a sign.
Could I then get some more clarification on that? Because I don't really understand. So the directional signage is not up for discussion today?
Not up for discussion today. So the way this started, this started because, so I'm in the chair of parking. And so the signage we started with was parking only. So we put signage up for the garages, and
Yeah,
basic
understood.
parking information.
Mhm.
So then the next phase was, these are the entrance signs to the town,
Yes,
which is somewhat related to parking. So they sort of snuck this
I
in.
understand.
Now, at one point for Public Works was asked to put up a sign for Uptown. And that was questionable because it's not a borough-owned thing. It's not, like, should we do this? And we actually did. So it's on High Street. There is a sign for Uptown there now, but it is in this old style that we were trying to move away from. We need to do all the things that Bernie just listed and more at a later date in sort of a phase 3 or 4. And we need to work with Merge to get that on somebody's committee.
Right. I
And that
understand.
is,
So do you guys have a timeline for this directional signage then? No. Okay, so we just need to keep tabs on you guys?
coming.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, then we can adjourn at 6:53.